Good morning or afternoon, depending on what time you are listening to this podcast, and welcome to yet another episode of Do Geese Have Udders, the show where we ask the unanswered and answer the unasked, looking at news and online stuff too. I'm Michael Gooch, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Matthew Thompson. You right, Matt?
Can that be the starting bit?
Good. Then let's start the show. So Matt, and not regular Matt, new Matt. He's not. Well, he's new Matt, but he's
regular Matt.
Side Matt.
Side Matt. Ooh.
This Matt, I want to talk to you about something which I know you're very passionate about. In fact, I think we had a conversation about this the other week, and you did not stop talking, but I was thoroughly enjoying every second of it, and I kind of want to have that exact same conversation again.
What a way to put it.
About some big old rocks that are all arranged in a circle. I want to talk to you about Stonehenge. Stonehenge is something I know that you're very passionate about. Well, I say passionate about. You have a great interest in.
Yeah, I wouldn't say passionate's the wrong word.
Definitely the wrong word.
Loves the
I'm
stones.
curious.
He loves the stones.
Yeah.
Curious about the stones.
And so,
how did they get there?
So, well, I mean, the big thing we know that you've done, because I'm pretty sure Matt either came with you on one of them or
I had COVID.
You had COVID.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to the Winter Solstice.
Don't rub it in.
But you went with Ben, Will, and Darius.
Yes.
Tell us about that. The Winter Solstice.
Nearly died.
That's it. Story ended.
Yeah,
I mean, the Winter Solstice we know is
Next
the day of the year with the least amount of sunlight or something, or the sun is in the sky for the least time.
Yeah.
So something along those lines.
Especially if it's cloudy.
Why is Stonehenge important?
So you went to Stonehenge, then you died, then you waited 3 days. What happened next?
Came out of the tomb. There were Easter eggs everywhere. I wasn't very happy about it.
How did this bunny take over my reincarnation or something?
Yeah, no. So
Stonehenge Winter Solstice.
Winter Solstice. We nearly died. It was a bit scary.
What time of year was this again? Was this
So
last?
it's 21st of December every year.
So yeah, last year.
Yeah,
So
last
can we elaborate
year.
on the diedness?
Yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah.
Before he dies,
Patience.
he lives. So you got
Patience, my friend. Woke up set the alarms for like 2:30 because you have to drive down to Stonehenge.
AM or
Get
PM?
there before the AM.
There we go.
Get there before the sun rises. Walk to the stones before the sun rises.
How far have you got to walk?
It's about 3.5, 4 miles. So it's not actually. It's like about an
Not too
hour's
bad.
walk. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
On grass.
By the time you're conscious, you're probably there.
Well, this is it. Is that So we had to set the alarms for 2:30, and when I can't remember if you let us know at midnight or if it was at 2:30, but we had a party of 6, and 2 of them ended up getting COVID.
Oh,
Imagine
that is a shame.
It was a real So we ended up meeting down at the big roundabout by Coney Hall.
I do, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know Coney Hall, there's a big roundabout there. That's where they met.
Yeah, we met there. It was all 4 of us. We were all doing COVID tests on the roof of the car, and a police car drove past at like 2:30 in the morning. We were there like, God, this must be one of the dodgiest things. Like, that is actually a very legitimate thing. Like, imagine being in a police car and just seeing like 4 blokes all wrapped up in coats and
Woolly
masks
and
hats, and they're just all dealing with baggies on the top of a car. But no, so we're all fine, luckily, and then we drove down to Stonehenge, which is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from where we are. Got to a place called the Darrington Walls and Woodhenge, which is about 3.5 miles from Stonehenge.
Good film.
And then we did the traditional, or one of the theories is that on the solstice, the settlement of Darrington Walls would have walked to Stonehenge to see the sunrise. And I've done the Winter Solstice before, and I've done it coming from the visitor centre, and it's not a great it's a bit corny, but it's not a great journey to the stones because you're just walking down a straight road the whole time.
Yeah.
And I thought this time I was like, now that I've got a lot more into this period of history,
You're going to try and do it.
I thought, let's do it legitimately. Let's see what people would have done 4,000 years ago. So
Done COVID tests on the
COVID tests on the car.
Yeah.
Or plague tests back then. That's what it was.
But no, we
Well, that would have just been listening out for a cough, and if someone coughs, then they're dead.
Yeah.
spear them.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be, considering the distance is practically the same, and you don't have to pay for parking. Like, why not, right?
Yeah, it's on a field. Just park on the field.
Exactly.
Right
Just
next to the stones.
Yeah.
Park on the field.
Yeah.
No, so we walked from Woodhenge down to Stonehenge.
What's Woodhenge made out of?
It's actually made out of concrete.
Henge. Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
They've
it's disappointing.
poured in the foundations with concrete pillars.
So it's just a
very,
fake
yeah, so very
Stonehenge.
briefly, what exactly is Woodhenge for people who don't know?
Woodhenge
know.
is like Stonehenge, but originally it would have been made out of 9-foot tall wooden pillars.
Same design as Stonehenge.
Kind of. It was like various circles of wooden beams.
Did you know the purpose of Woodhenge?
Well,
Does
same
anyone
as,
know the
same as
purpose of-
Stonehenge. Not really. They can guess. They can make educated guesses. And the suggestion is that it was some sort of ritualistic location that wasn't. I mean, it's tricky to comment on it because there's so many like clashing pieces of evidence suggesting what it may be. So the bottom line is that archaeologists truly have no idea. They can just make educated guesses towards these kind of things.
Well, yeah, well, I guess that's why we never really said the
What's
purpose
the
of
science?
Stonehenge, because again, it's one of those things that people don't really know. But
Doesn't
again,
it line
like
up
you
with the
said, there are-
stars?
So
there are
Like the
guesses.
pyramid.
this is it. So
Yeah.
the reason why the winter solstice and the summer solstice are so significant at Stonehenge is because the way that the stones were laid out when they were originally, let's say, erected, then
Chiseled out and then dragged.
well, when they originally erected and put up, the sun on the solstices would have perfectly aligned within gaps of the sarsen and blue stones, and it's a very obvious suggestion that 4,000 years ago, there wasn't much sort of obviously there wasn't much religion going on because at the time people weren't writing, and
Idiots.
we had just gone past sort of being nomadic, and the nihilists were kind of the first sort of generation of history where people were stopping hunter-gathering and were actually becoming domesticated and started farming and moving towards agriculture. And one of the theories is that actually a lot of belief might have come from the sun. What other beings are there that are significant to humans and how they survive when you're just surviving off the fat of land?
The
You've
moon.
got animals, crop, and the sun,
And the moon.
and I suppose the weather, and I suppose actually
That's
quite a lot of
yeah,
other little
yeah.
bits, to be
Yeah.
honest. But no, so anyway, we go down to the stones. Sun rises. Everyone puts out a big cheer.
A lot of people turning up. to
Yeah,
these
about
solstices?
I think
Huzzah.
it's about
Solstice?
2,000-3,000 come to the winter one.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I've never
It
been
is
to
a
the
lot.
summer one. I'd like to go. I keep missing it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's in June, isn't it? So it's not long gone.
Yeah,
That one
yeah,
is
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Briefly a moment ago, you mentioned the words blue stones.
Oh, I haven't finished. I nearly died.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's still on this.
Collecting the blue stones.
He's still alive at this stage. Forgot.
Yeah, so you stay in the stones for about an hour and a half. You watch the Grand Mage do his thing. Gets you all throat singing.
Who's the
Have
Grand
you ever
Mage?
done? Have you ever done throat singing?
I've never tried it.
Okay,
no.
watch this. Watch this.
Oh my god. I might be prepared. I might move the mic away from you.
Michael, why are you dying?
It was just so unexpected. When we bear in mind, this is a man who couldn't introduce himself earlier.
That's
and
true.
And he's basically just gone, "Oi, want to watch me do some throat singing?"
It's
it's
amazing because you watch them do all of their like chants and stuff. The Grand Mage is the leader of I can't remember the I think it might be the Wiccan pagan religion.
Oh, was this the guy you said didn't he have some like hat on? Or
Oh, yeah,
something?
yeah. He wears a hat. He's got a stick.
The Grand Master Wizard.
Not the Grand Master.
Of course he has a hat.
Not the
Yeah.
the Grand Mage.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't,
but,
wanna-
that's
don't,
even
wanna-
worse.
don't offend him, Matt.
And yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a cool bloke.
Is he a good magician?
I guess so. He must be.
Does he carry a pack of cards with him? Does he just?
He's
say-
got a stick. He's got
Oh,
a
okay,
stick.
He's
so-
got a stick.
My bad. So back away.
Could he
yeah.
beat Doctor Strange?
Well, Doctor Strange doesn't have a stick. So
These
already, yeah.
That's just his magical item.
These are discussions I don't want to.
I think it's called a staff, not a
I
stick.
don't want
just
to
saying.
enter into. Thank you. But yeah. Anyway, no. So he does his thing. You all stand there for about an hour and a half. So he gets to about 9 o'clock. And bearing in mind at this point, we've been up for 7 hours and we've only been going off like an hour and a half of sleep. We had to walk back to the car, and the walk back felt so much longer than the walk there. And then got back to the car, jump on the road. Heating wasn't working. Radio wasn't working. Everyone was asleep in the car. So I started falling asleep, and I was the driver.
Oh no!
Were you driving at this stage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
right.
was like an hour into the journey home. M25 was jam packed because it was like everyone's starting to zip about for Christmas, right? Yeah, it was. I remember I was nodding off at the wheel. I shouldn't be saying this really, but here we are. I was nodding off at the wheel, and then I woke up. And the car was heading straight for the middle barrier on the motorway. And Will's just like grabbed my leg. He's like, "You right, mate?" I was like, "Oh yeah, just fell asleep."
Catch light.
So for the rest of the journey, I was like, he's like, "Oh, do you need anything?" I was like, "Well, I finished.
Caffeine.
I finished my energy
Red
drink.
Bull.
So can you just grab my thigh?"
So now we know that you've made it,
And
you made it alive.
Yep.
Blue stones. What on earth are these blue stones that you mentioned?
Yeah,
'Cause
blue
when people
stones.
think Stonehenge, they're obviously thinking of the big old rectangular things.
Yep.
What are the blue stones?
So Stonehenge is made up of two predominant kind of stones. You got the sarsen stones, which are the big ones that everyone knows. You know, they're the big boys, the
big
ones
boys.
that actually make like the T shapes, and they stand on the perimeter, the outskirts of
The
the actual
Stonehenge.
circle. Yeah. And then you've got the blue stones, which are like lots of little dragon teeth kind of thing. They're a lot smaller, a lot of them are pointy, and they're actually a fair few hundred years older. And when people talk about Stonehenge being moved from Wales, the image that comes to mind is that how on earth did these people 4,000 years ago get these massive stones all the way from Wales? The big stones are from about 25 kilometres away in a woodland, which I think I've actually written it down on my phone because I went and saw a thing about it the other day.
You
I think
did.
it's
So,
Westwood.
so yeah, whilst you're getting that, so that was another reason why this topic was quite
Yeah, Westwood.
prominent in my. Oh, it is literally just the words Westwood.
But yeah, so the sarsen stones, the big stones, were only taken from about 25 kilometres away, but the blue stones were transported from Wales, which was about 150 miles away, so about 250 kilometres. And they were moved, 4,000 years ago. They've literally, in the last 10 years or so, using like 3D scanning
Technology.
Exactly. They've literally found the quarry where some of these stones would have been mined from.
And how big are these stones again? They're only.
They're about human size. You know.
Okay.
I mean, this is the thing. They vary in size. A lot of them have been removed. A lot
Some
of
are
them
human
there.
size, some are small human size, and
True.
And so on, so.
But the new theory is that actually there's evidence in scanning the ground using LiDAR equipment. There's evidence that these blue stones were an existing stone circle somewhere in Wales, and then they actually moved the entire stone circle to the centre of Stonehenge. And the big question now is that if that is the case, why did they do that, and what is the significance of the site at Stonehenge? And there's all these obvious theories, like Salisbury Plains is massively flat. The sun spends a lot of time over there.
True.
And if it's flat, you can see the sun easily
exactly.
from sunrise.
And you've got things like the I think it's there's an Iron Age fortress there. There's the Durrington Walls. There's this place called Blickmead. There's a lot of Neolithic settlement in that area, and they reckon that before the Romans came, that might have been the capital of what was the UK. And there's even evidence of international trading that happened 3,000, 4,000 years ago, which is insane when you think about it.
It is.
But yeah, it's that's the story of the Bluestones and Sarsens.
And there's one or something at this was it the British Museum you and Will went to very recently?
Yeah, we went and saw the exhibition. I think it was last weekend actually. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit further back depending on when this episode goes out. But recently at the museum they had that exhibition that you two went to, and they had the stone there.
It was just mad. Like I think it always like, even for someone who's been reading about this period of history for 3 years now, like even to what was that?
My phone.
It's Matt
I thought it was the marble against the microphone.
Matt gets messages. He fiddles about with stuff. He was playing about with string before we started.
I had to throw it away. Michael was angry.
Yeah, no.
You can tell my face off. Matt is making noise.
They displayed the remains of an ancient shaman. I don't know how you actually pronounce that word.
A shaman.
But so essentially it's like an ancient sort of
Shamon is
Shamon.
Michael Jackson says.
Shamon. It's like an ancient witch doctor. But and they displayed her, and like they did like an artist's rendition of what it might have looked like if she was alive. insane, actually mad. Like,
I mean, I compared this to, when was it? I can't remember if it was a few years ago or even longer than that, because I forgot how old I am, of when they did that with Cleopatra, and they did like the digital rendition of her, and I think a lot of people said, well, she looks like just like Britney Spears. How did Shamone look?
I'll show you.
Well, that's good for listeners.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll show you, and then we can obviously explain it.
Use the power of description.
It was surprisingly.
Shaman.
It reminded me a lot of sort of Native Indians or Native Americans. Like,
yeah, so I mean,
this was, you know,
describing it appears to be like sort of an animal skin sort of shawl, would you say, or something?
It's a wolf skin with deer antlers tied to it, draped over her head, with dog teeth hanging over her eyes, like the Australian hats with the corks. And then she's got a rib cage of an oxen hanging round her cheeks, and then feathers tied to the back of her head to keep the headpiece in place. It's actually insane. Like, it's
inspiration
nuts.
For the next D&D.
You know, you expect these people to be wandering around in maybe a shawl and like with some leaves around their privates. But no, like, these guys were like they
had style.
Oh mate, if someone walked down the street, if someone popped into Sainsbury's dressed like that, my jaw would drop on the floor, and I'd just be like, mate,
well,
you're looking dapper. Like, come on.
Well, if they
Where'd you get that?
Walked in with a spear, they'd be tackled to the ground immediately before anything else happened.
Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know.
So then something else though about Stonehenge, again, whilst I remember, I'm just trying to remember stuff from our conversation the other day because I found it fascinating. Hopefully you guys listening are finding this fascinating and haven't fallen asleep or started playing with a marble or bits of string. And something else you said, if I say one word to you, I'm hoping that you know where to go from it.
Oh.
Moss.
Oh, on Stonehenge?
Yeah, you see? You said something to me about the other day and I don't want to say you got excited about it, but you said there was something about some specific moss on Stonehenge.
Yeah, there's a kind of moss that only in the entire world only grows on Stonehenge. I don't really know what I said after that because I was a little bit drunk. But
do you know why that moss only grows on Stonehenge, or just there is moss that goes on Stonehenge?
Yeah. What did I say? I forgot.
I can't remember. I found it interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of the many mysteries of the place, to be honest.
There's moss there.
What Thompson asked earlier.
I've not seen moss like that before. No, me neither. Why is it there? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like what Thompson asked earlier. Like, what people seem to know that what Stonehenge was used for. No, they don't. They know that it was a physical calendar, but they still don't actually understand why it was
purpose,
there. Yeah, what they used it for.
Why it's been moved there, all the stones and stuff like that. What do you think it was used for, Matt? I'm talking to other Matt here now.
Just a
regular Matt.
Regular Matt, yeah.
Big clock / calendar, like Matt said.
Big clock. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, we know that the land obviously is all protected for, I think, like a couple of miles or something, isn't it? So they can't dig underneath it to see if it was burial ground. You don't need to dig,
you can just scan it nowadays.
I could be wrong at this, and this might go into no conversation whatsoever. Wasn't there something about a tunnel that was like, they started digging but they couldn't then dig anymore or something?
Yeah, so there's a big plan because the A303 cuts, what is it, like,
get out your
200, 300 metres away from
you can see
Stonehenge. Yeah, and you know, it's the famous thing. If you're going to the West Country from London, everyone slows down and takes a picture, right? But oh my days, the traffic jams that thing causes, the crashes it causes, it's actually like a hazard to public health. So there were a couple of schemes that have been in the pipework for a couple of decades now, and but they've really sort of become very prominent and actually come to fruition a little bit recently, which is the proposal to build a tunnel underneath Stonehenge, which will completely stop the traffic jams. It allows the A303 to continue to be a dual carriageway.
You can just speed through it because you can't. There's nothing to look at.
Yeah.
But.
And the trouble is that whole Salisbury Plain, that whole portion of Salisbury Plain, is actually protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the sheer amount of historical evidence that is there.
And they don't want to disturb the stones or risk.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Don't want to wake them up.
Well, you don't. Well, I mean, imagine that. Imagine you didn't know the tunnel was being built, and you got people there going to visit, and all of a sudden the stones just start shaking about.
They'll start falling.
Yeah.
Be like dominoes going all the way around.
Clunk, clunk, clunk,
the scheme that they've proposed cuts in already within the border of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's too shallow. So UNESCO have threatened the UK government that if they green light it, which I think they actually already have, if they go ahead with the construction, they will strip it of its protection.
Block the stones.
But so the other proposal was that the A303 goes all the way round the Salisbury Plain protected site, but that adds quite a long route, to the
Just do a bridge,
road.
go over it.
Well, I mean, the logical thing is
Can't
to
go
extend
under
the
it,
tunnel.
go over it.
I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, is the area above it protected? I guess to an extent.
Yeah, actually, because it's an army training facility just up the road.
Yeah,
Well,
stop the
there we
sun.
go then. Yeah, that'll stop you definitely.
But no, it's the alternative is essentially they can either put up a wall, which will obviously be horrible for both visitors to Stonehenge
Build a
and
wall.
the road.
Do a trump, yeah.
Yeah, like an iron corrugated wall the whole way down.
I don't know. Let me
Or-
keep
I
I guess you should
immigrants
just
out.
keep the eyes out, more or less.
Yeah, no, well,
yeah.
it just stops people from slowing down for it. That's all.
Yeah.
Which is the whole reason why these things are going ahead. Or they can extend the tunnel to outside of the boundaries of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, but that would literally double the cost of the project.
Do we know how much is the project so far doing?
Billions, probably. I mean, it's the UK government.
Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to give that follow or subscribe button a click so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And why not check out our Twitter and Discord too, where we post updates, behind the scenes stuff, and just general other news about the show. Links in the description below. Got any topics or questions you think need a proper answer or have yet to even be asked? Drop it in the comments below or send us a tweet. Until next time.